Good morning, students. So, we are back with our 10th standard biology portion. Students, I hope all of you recollect that we were doing lesson number 8. How do organisms reproduce? And we have completed two parts, part 1 and part 2. In part 1, we discussed about the types of reproduction as sexual reproduction and asexual reproduction. Okay, and then in part 2 we discuss about the different type of asexual mode of reproduction, like that of budding, like that of regeneration, like that of fragmentation. We studied the budding in case of hydra and yeast. We studied about regeneration in case of planaria. Correct? So these were the different types of the asexual mode of reproduction which we studied. In case of different type of animals, we studied them. Now, in today's session, students, we are going to study about the asexual reproduction in case of plants. And the asexual reproduction in place of plants is called as vegetative propagation. Now, why do we have this word vegetative propagation? Now, students, if you consider a plant, the plant shows two parts. One is called as the vegetative part and the other is called as a reproductive part. Now, which are the vegetative parts of the plant? The vegetative parts of the plant includes point number 1, root, point number 2, stem, and point number 3, leaves. So, root, stem, and leaves are called as the vegetative parts. And whenever a plant is reproducing using these vegetative parts, such a type of reproduction may be called as vegetative reproduction, or it is also called as vegetative propagation. Okay, now this vegetative propagation, that is reproduction using the vegetative parts like root, stem and leaves, can take place by two methods. One is a natural method and the other is the artificial method. So now today we are going to study about the natural vegetative propagation. There are certain plants which will propagate vegetatively. Vegetatively means by using root, stem and leaves under a natural condition. Natural condition, let us consider an plant which is growing in the wild. The plant is growing in the wild and it is using the organs like root, stem and leaves for its reproduction or propagation. So you call it as natural vegetative propagation. Now, the natural vegetative propagation can be best seen in case of potato. Okay, so I will just enlarge this diagram of potato and then I will explain to you. Okay, yes. Now, students, I hope all of you can see the image of potato on the slide. So now this is potato. Now, what is basically a potato? Potato is a modification of an underground stem. Potato is actually a stem which is growing underground. And a stem is always characterized by the presence of buds and leaves. Now, where do you see these buds? Often, students, whenever we store the potato in the house and if there is a moist condition in your kitchen, at that time the potato develops small buds which are cream colored buds, and these cream colored buds which develop on the potato are called as the eyes. EYES. It is called as the eye of the potato or eyes of the potato. Now, what does this eye contain? Now, this eye basically contains a bud. It basically contains a bud, and the bud, if you allow it to grow, at that time you will see that the bud is protected from some leaf-like structures. If you eat this, if you keep this potato for still further days, at that time you will see that the eye will start germinating, that the eye will keep on growing. So here you have an image of a germinating eye. Now, if many eyes are going to develop, in that case, the potato is not fit. It is fit for eating. That means it is not edible. In that case, you can take that potato and just you can throw it. If you throw it into the soil and if you are going to observe it, in that case, you will see that the eye will slowly germinate and it will give rise to a potato plant. And as I had mentioned before that a potato is a modification of an underground stem. Potato is actually a part of the stem, but the only thing is it is growing underground. It is a modification in potato to grow underground. Why? Because it is storing the food. So it is storing the food and it is hiding underground, but actually it is a stem. Okay, so let's do the reading part. Vegetative propagation. All of you know what is vegetative propagation. All of you know what is natural vegetative propagation. So vegetative propagation in potato. Tuber of potato. Potato is called as a tuber. This adaptive modification of the stem is called as a tuber. Tuber of potato. The potato is a modified stem. Many notches can be seen on the surface of the potato. These are called as the eyes of potato. Each eye of potato can give rise to a new plant because each eye is containing a bud and the bud is protected by leaf-like structures. I hope all of you have understood the vegetative propagation of potato. Now let's go to the next part. But before that, I once again repeat, what is vegetative propagation? Vegetative propagation is a propagation by using the different parts of the plants like that of root, stem and leaves. Now in case of potato, as I mentioned to you, potato is a modification of underground stem. It is a modification of underground stem for the storage of food, because of which we call them as tubers. Now let's go on to the next slide. Now students, in the next slide, we are seeing again the second part of vegetative propagation, and here we are going to see the vegetative propagation in case of a plant called as bryophyllum. So we are studying here the vegetative propagation in bryophyllum. Now bryophyllum, the vegetative propagation takes place with the help of the leaves. Leaves is a vegetative part of a plant. So in bryophyllum, the vegetative reproduction takes place with the help of leaves. So I will just enlarge this part over here. So students, can you see the leaves of the bryophyllum here? Now here the leaves of the bryophyllum, this part is called as a margin of the leaf. This outer part is called as a margin of the leaf. In the margin, can you see the buds? Can you see the buds giving rise to the new plant? Okay, and leaf is which part? The leaf is a vegetative part. So here we are seeing this vegetative propagation by means of leaves, and it is seen in case of a plant which is called bryophyllum. Natural vegetative propagation. Second part, vegetative propagation in bryophyllum. The leaves of bryophyllum have notches in the margin. Notches means it has got curves in the margin. If a leaf is cut, it is put under the soil, small saplings grow from the notches of the leaf margin. So here you can see the propagation is taking place with the help of leaves on the notches, on the margins. And then what is formed? Leaf buds are formed, and each bud will develop to form a new plant. Okay, what is required is the moisture is required. So if it is put in the soil, it develops to form a new plant. So students, we have completed with natural vegetative propagation. We have completed natural vegetative propagation by two means. One is by using a stem and the other is by using a leaf. By using a stem, example we have taken is that of potato, and by using a leaf, example we have taken is that of bryophyllum. Now these are the natural method. Natural method means no human being is involved in carrying out these activities. It is growing in the wild, and this is the way it multiplies in the wild. Okay, we don't have to bother about it. This is the way they reproduce. Okay, now what is there is, students, this vegetative proper method of propagation reproduction, that is a vegetative propagation, is an asexual mode of reproduction. And asexual mode of reproduction is much faster as compared to the sexual mode of reproduction. Okay, so when farmers want to produce the crops in a larger quantity, at that time the farmers go for the type of reproduction, that is vegetative propagation. When I say that the farmers go for, that means there is interference of human being, and whenever there is interference of human beings to carry out a particular reproduction in a plant, then it will be called as what? Artificial vegetative propagation or artificial vegetative reproduction, because there is involvement of human being. Human being will be either helping in cutting it or will be planting it. So it is not a natural process which the plant is undergoing, but there is involvement of human being. So the next topic we are going to study here is, we are going to study about artificial vegetative propagation. Now in this artificial vegetative propagation, we have different types. So we will discuss in detail about the different type. Okay. Now the first type of artificial vegetative propagation you are studying is cutting. Okay. Cutting, there is stem cutting. Now the best example for stem cutting which you might have seen in your life is, if you want to propagate a rose plant. At that time you ask for a stem. You ask for a stem cutting. So you cut the stem and you plant it in the soil, and slowly the stem will start developing the root. So here the propagation of the rose plant has been carried out by using a stem. But who is planting the stem in the soil? You are planting the stem in the soil. That means human beings are involved in it. Since the human beings are involved in it, we will call it as what? Artificial vegetative propagation. Okay. Now artificial vegetative propagation, as I told you, rose, I gave you the most simplest example. So let us see what is cutting. A part of the stem is cut, and the cut end grows into a new plant when placed in a moist soil. Example: mango, guava, lychee, lemon and rose. They grow by stem cutting. Propagation is easier. Okay students. Now let us see another part in which you are going to study about grafting. Grafting is in fact very interesting. Okay. Now in case of grafting, let us now discuss something about grafting. Okay. Now there are two plants, plant A and plant B. Now plant A has got a well developed root system, whereas the plant B has a poor root system. But plant B has got a very good productivity. That means the fruit is very tasty or the flower is very beautiful. So we are telling about the productivity. But the thing is that the fruit is tasty, the flower is very beautiful, but it has got a weak root system. So the absorption of water and all is causing a problem. So in such a situation, for the plant B, I can carry out a process which is called as grafting. What I do is, I cut the stem of plant B and I will place it on the cut part of stem A. Plant A, there is a plant A in which I told you the root is very well developed. So that stem I am going to cut and I will place the stem of B on it, and I am going to tie both of them together. There are different type of equipments which are available for grafting. After taking the stem of plant B and stem of plant A, which is already attached to the soil, I can wind it up with the different type of equipments, like there are grafting wax and all. Grafting knife is there, grafting wax is there, then cover it. So what will happen? My plant B will be taking the support of the root system of my plant A, and you know that the plant A has got a well developed root system, so it will absorb ample amount of water and minerals and supply it to my plant B, and now my plant B will luxuriantly grow and produce those beautiful flowers and sweet fruits. This process is called as grafting. Okay, grafting. So the stem of a plant is cut and then fitted on another strong plant and covered with a grafting wax. As I told you, there is an entire equipment box for grafting. Grafting wax is there which will help in connecting the plant A and the plant B. Now grafting is usually carried out in case of apples, oranges, watermelon and ornamental plants. Okay, so both of them, you know that there is involvement of human beings, so it is called as artificial vegetative propagation. Now, after this students, we are going to study the next one, that is we are going to study about layering. Layering is very simple. Now in case of layering, what is there is, I have a plant and I have a stem. I see to it that the stem of the plant, of this plant, is going to touch the soil. And how should the soil be? The soil should be moist. So when the stem of the plant is going to touch the moist soil, the stem tends to develop the root over there and it may develop into a new plant. This process is called as layering. Sometimes the outer covering of the stem can be very thick. In that case, it is difficult to develop the roots. So what I do is I will remove out the outer covering. Okay, so layering. The stem of a plant is bent down until it touches the soil. The stem is then cut once it develops roots and grows into a new plant. You can carry out this for lemon, rose and jasmine. Now, that is layering in the soil. Now, air layering in the air itself. Okay, because some, in the certain season the air is moist, there is too much of humidity, so you can do the air layering too. In the air layering, what you are going to do, again as I told you, you are going to open up a bit of the stem part, and it is so that what will happen, the stem will come in contact with the moist air or the humidity and it will develop the roots. Okay, so a slanting cut, okay, is made in the stem and kept separate with a toothpick so that it is exposed out. Moss and plastic is wrapped. Now, moss is a plant material which will provide moisture. Moss is a plant material which will provide moisture. So, moss and plastic is wrapped around it till the root grows. Then new plant is cut and planted separately. So, students, these are the different type of artificial vegetative reproduction. Now, as I told you, I have told you this as artificial vegetative reproduction because there is involvement of human beings. So, we have done natural vegetative propagation and artificial vegetative propagation or reproduction. Natural vegetative propagation, we studied the propagation with the help of stem and we studied the propagation with the help of leaves. Propagation by stem, example was that of potato, and propagation by leaves, the example was that of bryophyllum. Okay. Now let's see the spore formation, that is reproduction by spore formation. Now reproduction by spore formation is usually seen in case of fungi and lower plants. Okay. So here let us see here. Now this is a fungi. This image is that of a fungi. Here you can see the root-like structures which are called rhizoid. Now this is the body of the fungi. Now the body of the fungi is producing structures, that is a fruiting body it is called as. This fruiting body is called as sporangium. And inside the sporangium it produces small spores. At maturity, the sporangium will rupture and the sporangium is going to liberate the spores. The spores are either usually carried by air or by water. If it is growing near a water area, air or water, and when reaches another substratum, suitable substratum, it will develop on it. Is it clear? So as I told you, spore formation is seen usually in case of fungi and lower plants. So here you are seeing is that of Rhizopus. You have two fungi here, one is Rhizopus and the other is Mucor. Spore formation. Rhizopus, as I told you, a Rhizopus is a fungi. Rhizopus produces hundreds of microscopic reproductive units called spore. When the sporangium bursts, all of you saw what is a sporangium. I told you it is a fruiting body. When the sporangium bursts, the spore spreads into the air. This airborne spores land on a food or soil under favorable conditions like damp and warm conditions. They germinate and produce a new individual. Example for spore formation is seen in case of Rhizopus, Mucor, bacteria and non-flowering, that is the lower plants like that of fern, that is pteridophyte. Fern is a pteridophyte. Now we go to the next slide, and in the next slide we are going to study about the advantages and disadvantages of asexual reproduction. Okay, so students, we have studied asexual reproduction, and asexual reproduction we have studied about the vegetative propagation, that is natural vegetative propagation, artificial vegetative propagation, and spore formation. Now we are going to study about the advantages and disadvantages of asexual reproduction. Now let us see the advantages. Yeah. Now, advantages of asexual reproduction. Students, as you know that asexual reproduction involves only one parent. So the organism doesn't have to search for a partner. Only a male can give rise to the organism, or a female can give rise to an organism. So they are not dependent on another organisms. Okay. Asexual reproduction requires lesser time. That's why it is always preferred. As I told you, the farmers prefer the vegetative propagation. Now, in the asexual reproduction, whatever offspring means children which are formed, they are the exact copies of their parent. They are the clones of their parent, because there is no involvement of another parent to give a variation. Okay. Next, desirable characteristics can be easily incorporated into the offspring. Whatever desired character is there, suppose if the mother plant is giving me a red flower, what will happen? The daughter plant with the offspring which are formed, they will only keep on producing the red flower. There are no chances of it producing a white flower, because there is no involvement of another parent. Okay. Advantage. The organism does not have to depend on another organism for carrying out reproduction, as only one parent is needed. It takes lesser time than sexual reproduction. The offspring are exact clones of their parent. Desirable characteristics can be easily incorporated into the offspring. So these are the advantages of asexual reproduction. Now let us go into the disadvantages of the asexual reproduction. Okay. Now, disadvantages. As I told you, as only one single parent is there, what is there? Whatever the characters is, the same characters will be repeated and no variation will be there. As I told you, red flower means red flower only will be there. There will be no inner formation of a white flower or a pink flower. Next. In most of the organisms like that of amoeba, you saw that I have one amoeba, and the amoeba will undergo binary fission. When the amoeba undergoes binary fission, it results in the formation of two amoebae. So when it results in the formation of two amoebae, there is no existence of the parent amoeba. The parent amoeba does not exist only, correct or not? Because that has already been divided into two parts. Okay. Next, asexual reproduction does not give rise to biodiversity. Diversity means variation, diversified, different forms. That is what you call diversity. Okay, that will not be there in asexual reproduction, because as I told you, there is only one parent involved. So the multiple copies of the same organism will only be produced. As we had mentioned that it produces clones. Yeah. As a single parent is involved, so there is negligible chances of variation. In most of the cases, in simple organisms like amoeba, the parent generation stops to exist after asexual reproduction, because the parent itself divides to form two cells. Asexual reproduction cannot give rise to biodiversity, which is important for a healthy ecosystem. Okay, so these were the advantages and disadvantages of asexual reproduction. So students, we have successfully completed with the asexual part or asexual reproduction part of this lesson. Now let us look into the assignment questions. Explain the asexual mode of reproduction in potato and bryophyllum. So please explain that potato is a stem, the notches are there, the eyes are there, the eyes propagate to form a new plant. Bryophyllum, on the notches in the margin, the leaf buds are there that when touches the moist soil give rise to a new plant. Name the different type of asexual reproduction in case of plants. Asexual reproduction, that is natural asexual mode of natural vegetative propagation and artificial vegetative propagation. Explain the spore formation in case of rhizopus. First of all, define what is a spore. The spore are the microscopic small unit. They are produced in a fruiting body which is called as a sporangium. The sporangium will rupture. The spore will be liberated. It will land up in a damp, carried by the air. Correct or not? It will land in a moist, damp place and it will propagate into a new organism. Then, as I told you, what are the advantages and disadvantages of sexual reproduction, which we have already discussed. Okay. I hope all of you have understood what was taught. Okay. Thank you.